Welcome to Ritual Scale Modelling. This is part 5 of Trumpeter's German 2 cm self-propelled gun. In part 4, I dealt with the steering column and suspension. In this part, I'm going to be dealing with the wheels. Now, this is a shorter video than normal because I just wanted to get the wheels all done in one video before moving on to the tracks, which will be the next video. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. To begin with, I'm making up the last part of the mechanism for the steering column. It's a series of 4 little bars connected with each other, and it sort of snakes up, so it goes left to right as you build it up. It's quite difficult to put together. It's not meant to have any cement on it. It didn't work for me. It just kept on falling out. So in the end, I did place cement on it. It took me a couple of goes to get this right as well. The bars are very thin, and the openings, the location points, are minuscule. So hence why I secured it with a bit of cement. But once I had it made up, it just goes on the bottom bracket of the steering column, then goes on to the main steering mechanism that I made up earlier. Once I was happy with the dry fit, it was time to paint, and it's 09 Anthracite by Rebel Aquacolor for this part. Then it was time to fit it properly into position. As I said, it was quite tricky to do. The bar at the bottom, it goes into the main steering mechanism, clips into one of the location pins that I made up the bar with. Again, you're not really meant to cement this, but I did because it just kept on falling off. And now it's back to the wheels, and I'm using Life Colors Black and Rubber 1 Black here for the rims of the tyres. As you can see, I've mounted them on a cocktail stick, and this just makes the rim easier to paint. I can paint it all in one go without having to rest it in between. So placing these 2 halves of the wheels are fairly simple. The location point in the center of each wheel marries up to the location point of the opposite wheel, of course. There's a little knob of plastic that helps you guide it in. If you're having trouble seeing it and locating it as you put the wheels together, just give it a slight twist once it's in position, and you'll feel it lock into position. This is all the wheels for the track part of the vehicle. You can see them all made up now. And these just get pushed on to the suspension springs and axle points. You don't really need any cement on these. They push in quite firmly. Now, there's also a set of single wheels that don't get made up, and these go on at the same time. Now, the important part here is to look at the instructions and see how they go on, because some are laid behind the main wheels, so they all link in when the tracks go on. I would suggest putting in the inner ones first and then adding on to the outer ones. The instructions sort of hint that you put them on, put one wheel on, then the other, and so forth, and work down the line. It can get a bit tight and tricky when doing that, but if you put in the ones that are going to be nearer to the framework first of all, then build the outer ones up on top of that. Actual location is important as well on the axle. Make sure you get the ones that are going near the frame on its proper axle. If you don't, the wheels just won't sit properly and it will not look right at all. The main drive wheel has to be made up separately. Now, there's a few components to this, but initially they want you to make the back piece with a little location part that goes onto it. Now, the instructions say here, once that's built up, you place it onto the frame straight away. I had a little go at this and thought it would be better to make up the entire wheel before placing it on. So that's what I did. And I think it works out a little bit better. So once I decided on that, I was able then to put on the remaining wheels for the track. And if you look down onto the mat, you'll see the 2 drivetrains in its half made up state, waiting for the next stage. However, I'm just going to place them on so I don't lose them. It's a little tip for you. If you don't want to lose these parts, and if they're not going to fall off, just have them in situ before you're ready to work on them again. So next is the remaining set of wheels, and these are another set of single wheels which go over the top of the two sets of wheels I've already placed on. As you can see there, I'm putting a little bit of cement onto the middle section of the wheel before placing it on. And this is where you'll find out whether you have placed the correct wheel onto the correct axle, because they won't line up otherwise. So now I'm moving on to the front wheels, and these little hubcaps are fairly easy to put on. I put on the outer side on first, then added a little bit of cement onto the cap before placing the inner cap on. I didn't cement the tyre onto the cap, but I suppose you can do. It's not a problem. You can also make this up and push the tyre on once everything is dry. But this way, I can have it all fitted and put to one side. Next is to make up the remaining part of the drive wheel. As you can see on the bench there's a few components to this. First of all, I have to make up the part that's going to be moving the actual track itself, so the inner part of the drivetrain as such. There's one disc that goes on, then the other with interlocking bars that sits on top of it. And once that's on, the rear piece of the wheel then can be placed on. And then it's just a matter of fitting it onto the wheels if you've already put them in situ, or take them off and build them up and place them on. And that's what I did. I took them off and just dry fitting these here to see how everything works out. So all that remains in this part is to put on the front wheels. They're a little bit tricky to put on because of the location points, but as a whole shouldn't cause any problems. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you go and check out the channel for my other builds? If you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. That way you'll be kept up to date not only with this video, but all my future builds as well, of course. Hit that like button. Don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course, you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.